I'm very pleased. She's my hero. Love her.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most interesting or head-scratching Judge Judy secrets.
I really don't need you to approve of me.
I'm sorry.
10 million people approve of me.
Number 10, not filmed in New York. Judge Judy Scheindlin is nothing if not a true New Yorker. Longtime viewers know the show's iconic main title sequence features the Statue of Liberty, among other city landmarks.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
But Judge Judy wasn't filmed anywhere near New York City. Like so many other shows, it was filmed on a studio backlot in Hollywood.
Judge Judy may not be scripted, but the show is well orchestrated.
Its home base was the Sunset Bronson Studios, also known as the Old Warner Brothers Studio, which is a century-old lot that's been in use since the silent era. Scheindlin would just fly out for filming each month, then return to one of her many homes. This made it more of a courtroom set rather than an actual courtroom.
When the litigants enter this courtroom, they better have their A game, because once they go up against Judge Judy, they know she's going to have her A game.
When will the lies end, Judy? Number 9. Judge Judy wanted to host the People's Court. When the People's Court was looking to replace its longtime arbitrator, Judge Joseph Wapner, Scheindlin threw her hat in the ring. She called up the studios responsible for the show and told them she was ready to take over.
And I just picked up the phone and called, and I said to whoever answered the phone, I said, did you ever think about doing a distaff People's Court with a lady judge? The woman said to me, lady, we're packing up here. This show is over. Goodbye. And she hung up.
But Judge Judy wasn't a household name yet. Her generous offer to step in as host was ignored, if not seen as a little deranged. Who knew she would go on to become a dynamo in her daytime court shows?
Where do you think you are? You think you're on Springer? You're not.
Besides, the People's Court wouldn't have suited her. It's Judy's court, thank you very much. Interestingly enough, it was her husband, Judge Jerry Scheindlin, who would host the revival of that series.
That's what you're getting for a total of just $362.60. That's judgment in favor of the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Number 8. Case details were sent ahead of time. Before every case, Judge Scheindlin had to be briefed on the details, evidence, and documents submitted.
Mr. Glavin, I read your complaint. About 2 years ago, you and the defendant moved in together and you bought a television set. And you split the cost of the television.
So how did she find the time? Well, not only did she get all the info before the cases, but she got them well in advance of the shooting dates. All the files were shipped to her home for her perusal.
They're busy all the time, doing what they do expertly, which is preparing the cases and getting me the complaint, the answer, and the countersuit, which I get by FedEx.
However, Scheindlin had been quoted saying she didn't like to get too bogged down by the details of a case, so she'd read them once, put them away, then show up on the day of taping with fresh eyes and ears.
Let me see if I understand the nature of your complaint. Mr. Walbridge and his family rented a house that you own in a rent-to-own arrangement, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Number 7. At least one of the cases was fake. Judge Judy has aired some pretty bizarre cases over the years.
I'm tired of people taking things that don't belong to them. She's a flake, thinking they can get away with it. She lied, thinks she's just the kind of person that's a taker. And that's all I have to say. And just wants to get something for nothing.
Viewers wouldn't be out of line to think some were exaggerated, if not flat out made up. While the producers did aim to present real cases with real people, sometimes a few phonies slipped through the cracks.
I have to tell you, Mr. West, before we start, sir, I'm skeptical about your case.
Producers wouldn't have much of a show if they had just been writing the cases, so that's not what happened here. The show actually paid all damages to incentivize litigants to settle their case on the show. So on one occasion, it was revealed that a pair of litigants had completely fabricated a story about a cat being crushed by a TV.
Because we only smash stuff outside.
He's an artist.
We don't smash stuff inside, but we love smashing stuff. Gotta say we do.
Don't trust people anymore? I don't know.
That's ridiculous.
It's really ridiculous, obviously.
I feel like my whole life is ridiculous, really.
Whether the producers failed to vet them or they just let the case go forward because it was just that entertaining is unclear. Number 6. Paid crowd. Courtrooms are open to the public. However, the set of Judge Judy was not run like a standard court. The audience was not made up of average everyday people off the street.
What public servant did you assault?
Police officer, ma'am.
Shh. Listen, I don't need any help from you.
The producers hired them through a special service that acquires extras from pools of aspiring actors. They were paid to watch Scheindlin hear cases and dole out her sassy witticisms. Even a stray celebrity or two has made it into her audience.
You claim the defendant stole them.
Yes.
And the defendant will tell me that he was present the evening of the 1st.
Yes.
Until what time?
I actually waited until the first bus came the next morning, which was at 5 a.m.
But if you think being in Judge Judy's gallery isn't a day's work, you'd be dead wrong. The audience was just as vulnerable to her temper as the litigants testifying in front of her.
Out. Did you hear what I said? You know who I'm looking at. You got my eyes? Blue, black, out. Out.
Yeah.
It would be you. Out. Just go.
You just better hope your laugh doesn't irritate her. Number 5. Officer Byrd and Judge Judy worked together in real life. The rapport between the judge and her trusted bailiff, Petrie Hawkins Byrd, is off the charts hilarious. Sometimes their brief interactions are the best part of an episode.
And what did you say to her when she gave you the money?
I'll holler at you later. I'll holler at you later.
Could you translate that for me?
He said, I'll call you later.
So it's probably not all that surprising to learn that not only was Judge Judy a real judge, but Officer Byrd was a real bailiff. In fact, he was her bailiff when she worked in the Manhattan family court system.
When I was a court officer in New York, that's where I originally met her. And then I moved out to California in 1990, and I left law enforcement. I was working as a high school counselor.
While the two seem like buddies on screen, and though Byrd clearly respects her, he explained in appearances after the show finished airing that the two were simply good coworkers more than they were friends.
I can only say we're friendly, but I haven't had dinner over her house. We haven't gone out for lunch in 25 years.
Number 4. The losers didn't have to pay. There's nothing more satisfying than watching a litigant have to pay what they owe.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That gives you $2,200 to clean up the mess. We're done. Thank you.
Some were even ordered to pay the small claims court cap of $5,000. However, on Judge Judy, they didn't have to sweat it too much. Like many other court shows, production actually paid the judgment.
The production company pays whatever the settlement is, right?
Production company will pay the judgment if there is a judgment.
In fact, both parties came away with some extra money in appearance fees, flights to and from Los Angeles, and a hotel stay. Sounds like going on Judge Judy might be a surefire way to win some cash, get a paid vacation, and avoid dishing out money you actually owe. That is, if you don't mind the public humiliation. In some cases, though, Judge Judy threatened to withhold these perks from particularly uncooperative litigants.
If you want us to pay for your return ticket, or anything else, because we have a contract.
Yes, Your Honor.
You and this program, you abide by my decision, or we do a zippity-doo-dah for you, including getting you home.
Number 3, no real court power. Although she did have a career as a judge, that wasn't her actual capacity on the show.
Try to speak as if you're in a courtroom, articulately, slowly, not like you're talking to a friend, because I'm not your friend.
On the set of Judge Judy, she was acting as an arbitrator. Her verdicts were not true legal judgments in the traditional sense. It's not necessarily her decision itself that's ultimately being abided, but the contract that binds the appearing litigants to respect that decision.
And the people sign what is called a binding arbitration. So they agree to be bound by whatever decision I make.
If anything, it's actually harder to overturn or appeal a case decided by arbitration because it's a private contract and not a traditional court case.
If I dismiss a case, it's dismissed for all purposes, and the plaintiff loses. If I dismiss a counterclaim, it's dismissed for all purposes. So that's how it's done.
Still, that didn't stop one judge in a family court from overturning one of Scheindlin's decisions in a custody dispute where she had no jurisdiction.
Number 2, how the show found its litigants. Yes, there was a call for cases at the end of the show and a submission form on the official website, But Judge Judy's cases were generally found by the show's elite team of researchers.
I'm going to get to the rest of the facts of the case because you didn't finish paying for the car.
Absolutely.
I'm going to get to the facts of the case in a minute. I'm not finished with you about other people's time.
Scouring the country's court system for possible cases, they were responsible for compiling the most compelling small claims court cases and sending them on to producers.
What were the allegations in that application for an order of protection?
She claimed I threatened to stab her in the back with a knife.
Very few, even as low as 3% of these cases were even fit to move forward for consideration. Considering how boring this work must be, it's no wonder how many of these litigants have a prior relationship. It makes for more natural drama than a relatively uninteresting dispute between two strangers over something minor.
My problem is with you is you're a lousy daughter. Because
Hold up, Your Honor. No, I'm sorry.
Because I
sorry,
just
Your
asked
Honor.
you-
No. This woman abandoned me when I was 3 years old. She didn't come back in my life until I was 48 years old.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Judge Judy only worked 5 days a month. It's no secret that Judy Scheinlin is filthy rich.
You make all this money, you live in Venice, you live in Jackson Hole, you live in Connecticut, you have a private plane.
But how much does she work to make those literal millions of dollars? Well, during her time on Judge Judy, this was apparently 5 days a month. Outlining her work week in an interview, she said she flew out to LA every other Monday and was usually finished by Wednesday or Thursday.
I work Tuesday and Wednesday or Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
In one shooting day, she'd get through an entire week's worth of content. Still, with wall-to-wall cases and people who don't want to pay what they owe, it's no wonder she was always going on about her lunchtime.
Correct. And if it's not true, I get annoyed. Correct. And you don't want to get me annoyed, especially before lunch.
Which of these behind-the-scenes facts surprised you the most? Tell us in the comments.
How old are you?
22.
22. That means when I started to be a star, you were still pooping in your pants.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.